What was that line you just couldn't quit repeating? Reality is just an illusion we've gotten used to. That's a horrible line. Alright, we're back with Bahnsen Knights from the Pixel Pulp's Pixel Horror Adventure series, and we're on episode 5, so let's just, get right into it. Your waist hurts. Oh, why is that? You feel a burning in your esophagus, and the onset of a cramp in your left leg. You try to remember happier times. Times when you awoke differently. Eva used to rise before you. The first thing that would greet you was the aroma of coffee wafting from the kitchen. Oh, that's nice. After a while, she'd enter the room with 2 steaming cups. Oh, that's so nice. She'd set them on the bedside table and place a kiss on your lips. The coffee would stop steaming and cool in the cups, but neither of you would particularly mind. Years later, Olivia would arrive. Man, okay, so I guess we know what happened, while the coffee was getting cold. And the mornings would be different. Not better nor worse, just different. Suddenly breathing becomes a struggle. Oh, panic attack? A profound sense of loss engulfs you. It's as if Eva and Olivia were no longer there, as if the accident had really happened. And you can never see them again. Yeah, I wonder what it makes. I know that for actors, I think Bella Ramsey said it in a recent interview. They said that even if you're not like method acting, which is its own weird form, I think that's even more exhausting physically and mentally. But even if you don't do that, if you play a very dramatic scene, even though your mind knows it's fiction, your body usually doesn't, because that's the acting part, that you have the adrenaline pumping and you have to force these emotions, So for the body, all of this happens. It's like this thing where you say, when you're not happy, just smile. And at a certain point, you make your body believe that you're actually happy, which it doesn't always work. Tried, But I think it has a little bit of effect that the physicality sometimes can also be can directly result into how you feel mentally. And so being undercover is even worse, because as an actor, it's more like you see something, it's art, it's creative, it can even be daunting and fun. But as an undercover agent, there's so much more stress involved, that it's probably quite an experience that might even, cause PTSD and stuff like that. You shake your head. How much did you drink last night? Not that much. I had 1 beer, I think. Whoever left you the note had done a good job. The fact they did it without you noticing bothers you. Well, if I was in my own little world, then, you step out of the car and the morning's chill takes you by surprise. Mile 54. You think about the graphology classes at the agency, the meaning entwined within each stroke. Yet beyond any theoretical discourse, you recognize the sender of the message. Who is it? Could it be actual evidence? You look around you. The cars of the Bahnsen Knights rest like cattle in the field, before their circadian rhythms kick in. Oh, look at Vincent's. Vincent sleeps. That's better. You still remember the story he told you when you asked him about the glasses. Is it true? No one knows, but for me it felt very much like he took the shit. Or he took the mickey, I think it's better saying. Or is it part of a story told to fit into the world of the Bahnsen Knights? Is there even a world out there? Instinctively, you look at the sun visor and sigh. Wouldn't it be funny if, none of the Bahnsen Knights is an actual Bahnsen Knight? They're all just undercover agents. Look at Monique, Sierra. Of all the Bahnsen Knights, Monique is the one with whom you find it hardest to strike up a conversation. You're not surprised. You were never good at talking to women. Ooh, okay. It's so weird. I don't know. Look, I get some guys are shy, Some guys are shy. But this is like women that say, I don't get along with women. I only have guy friends, There's just a little bell ringing, in my head, like, okay, in dubio pro reo, but still, you gotta prove to me a little bit that it doesn't mean what I think it means. You think of Eva. If it wasn't for her, you two would never have had a first date. Wait, if it wasn't for her, I think. Look at Lucas here. You can't stand Luca. His attitudes, the way he talks to people, that giggling. You remember your high school years, where unfortunately you cross paths with several people like him. I don't think Luca is in any way a good person or undercover, because he's too convincingly shitty. But you never know. You don't want to wake anyone up. Last thing you need is for any of these sociopaths to tell you. And you only start the engine when you figure you're good and far down the road. Oh, okay. Maya 40... What is it with me? Maya 54, like... What's Toni after Maya 54? Your stomach grumbles. Oh, so it was from Toni. Toni. And a gloomy thought crosses your mind. You know what? I actually don't think I've ever heard any song by Toni. I know it was like a band, right? From the 70s or 80s, because I think it featured, at least in one sitcom I watched, it featured as a joke. But I don't think I gotta do that at some point. What if this was your last shot at breakfast? You try to think of the Bahnsen Knights territory, of the number of barns with that giant red cross slapped on the wall. What would all this look like from above? You know, I love this setting. Like, as a movie, I would be obsessed, because, I mean, to have a cult with the cars, you know, and then the Red Cross and everything, it's such an intriguing world. It's a really fantastic premise. Cooper was always on about the gap between a map and its territory. And he'd shake his head when you said you still hadn't picked up Borges, despite his prodding. You order black coffee, eggs, and bacon. If this is your last breakfast, you won't be missing out on anything. All of a sudden, appetite's gone. Yeah, he's seeing... It's also, you kind of abandoning your kids, don't you? I mean, abandoning your partner, I think, is bad enough, but I think adults can deal better with that, and, you know, you can have, like, consent conversations. But you hardly ever... Parents usually don't have those conversations with their kids, right? I mean, then they don't say, I will leave you for 2 months, and then the kid is like, I don't want you to, and then the parent's like, well, okay, then I won't leave. I mean, rarely. It's the parents that, you know, hash it out, and then the kids have to live with it. So it's, for the kids, it's always worse if the parent goes somewhere, you know, for whatever reason. And it could be very valid reasons, you know, I'm not saying that it's a shitty thing to do, to leave your kids for a couple of months because of work, because that's real life, you know, so you have to do it sometimes. But it's still, for the kids, probably always feels like weird. And for the parents as well, because they have those feelings like, I could talk this out with my partner, but I can't make my kid really understand. Because in a way, it is a little bit of an abandonment, even though it's technically not. Okay. You drop your fork on your plate and wonder if maybe it'd have been better never having tasted happiness in life. No, I don't think so. I know loss is really horrible. I can't deal with it very well. I'm really bad at it. But it's still better because you still have that. And it shapes you as a person. You need those happiness to... I think also it can make you a better person. You feel the dampness in your eyes. And the quiver in your hands. Happiness. That's the worst drug. Withdrawal hits harder than a freight train. You just want to head back home. You wish all this to be over. How much longer are you gonna hold out? Cooper had it figured. More than a few times he'd yammered about time being the biggest foe for an undercover agent. What was that line he just couldn't quit repeating? Reality is just an illusion we've gotten used to. That's a horrible line. That's like... It's like stupid Matrix, you know? It's like... I don't want to dump on Matrix, because I think that movie itself is an interesting thought experiment, but it's been used as like an intellectual thought experiment for so long, and it's not really. So yeah, this really sounds like reality is just an illusion, man. What the evidence you left on your daughter's grave is no longer there. But the 3 holy cards are... There's 2 more. Father Mario. A holy card used by the agency to catalog the actions of Tony's circle. Yeah, he's for acquaintances. San Cayetan of Tien. He's for accounting. I wrote it down because my memory is not good. Used to catalog accounting documentation of the Bahnsen Knights, which is funny because in video games my memory is like non-existent. At work I'm actually pretty good. I'm kind of like the archivist of tasks in the team. Not all, but a lot of them. Even not, you know, if I hear about them in a meeting, I'm very likely to be able to repeat it like 2 months or 3 months after if someone's like, what was that about? And then I'm like, well, so yeah. More uninteresting stuff for me, you know, in case you're interested. And Mary Undoer of Knots, she's for forgery. Used to catalog material that could have been forged. Along with these holy cards, you find 2 new ones. That's creepy. Our Lady of Health and Saint Expeditus. Fucking hell. You bend down to pick them up, and you feel a great sense of helplessness. What on earth is your handler looking for? More evidence that Tony's a son of a bitch? Isn't it enough to know Cupra's gone? And Cupra? Did he find anything? Or had he simply been discovered? Your head's spinning, and you try to concentrate. Almost as if nature was giving you a sign. You spot the shadows slipping away under the light of the midday sun. It's time. The road meanders gently, and you think of Eva. How she'd sway to her jam, all graceful and free. No. I had a silly image like of an embarrassing, cringy white woman, you know, be like, because men are always like, oh, she's so free. If she looks good, you know, that you can do this as a white woman, which is horrible. It looks so goofy. But if you're hot, men are like, oh, she's so dreamy. And everyone else like, well, okay. It's a stone throw away now, and you ease off the gas. Because we have it so often in movies also, right? And then, like, the sexy female lead, she's dancing. And the man is like, oh. And if you're actually, you know, not attracted to the person, you're like, well, it's not that good of a dance. It's kind of cringy. Which is fine. I actually like cringe dancing. Because I think you have to go with the flow, you know. You have to go with the emotions when you're dancing. That's actually really nice. Anyways, man, tangents upon tangents upon tangents. And there it is. Finally. Thought you weren't showing up, man. Look, honestly, he's probably the biggest douchebag and a horrible person, but he looks kind of... He's one of my types. One of my many types. Visually, not as a character. You smile. You never consider that option. Here we are. In mile 54. And it ain't just us who've crossed paths at this point, huh? You familiar with the backstory of the Bahnsen Knights? No, I'm not. You'd like to tell him yes, to spill that you're an undercover agent. And there's a fat file about it back at the agency. You'd buy a ticket to see the look on his face. Ask him about your partner, but you just shake your head. Hold on a sec. I guarantee it's gonna be worth your while. He looks so much like a vampire. It is amazing. Back in '83, there's this curious happening. 2 F5 tornadoes nailed the heart of the county at the same time. Remember what they blabbered about? Their past on TV? It's tough for you to admit, but it only took him 3 sentences to hook you. Yeah, he's a good star. I mean, that's, you gotta, look, if you have a cult, you know, if you extort money, if you abuse people, at least be a good storyteller. You owe us that. He remained silent and let him continue telling his story. I was working as a used car salesman back then. My town took the biggest punch. One tornado slashed it south to north. Later, another one swept in southwest to northeast. This way, like a cross. Got saved by a fluke. Toni takes a pause. Town was pretty much wiped out. My boss was a son of a bitch. Mark Fisher. Mark Fisher? You scour your memory for that name popping up in the agency dossier. And I ain't just tossing that out. You know what Monique says about adjectives, right? You don't. But you're glad to have a new topic of conversation with the librarian. Anyway, Mark owed me commission for my last sales. He knew I needed that cash, but didn't give a damn. Once the sirens quit wailing, I hoofed it to the office. Zifted through debris, clinging to the hope of scooping up anything. But I found nothing. Cash box was busted open. Never found out who swiped the money. It wasn't Mark, he died in the storms. Something snapped in me. He started tearing everything apart. Like a third tornado whipping through the damn offices. Must have caught the glint of metal. Behind a picture frame was a key and a legend. Mile 54. I figured Mark had other stuff going on. So without thinking too much, I left the office. And I started looking for Mile 54. You got any clue how many Mile 54 markers litter this county? You shake your head, and Toni grins. Started off with the closest one, and I didn't find anything. Kept at it. And after a while, landed in this spot. The barn was padlocked, but I got the key. I couldn't believe my eyes. It felt like I'd stepped into Heaven's Gate. Sierra stretching as far as you could see. My boss had him imported from Europe, and for some reason he couldn't sell him just yet. Know what a cross is, Boulder? A cross is an intersection, a meeting point, two tornadoes, a guy and a batch of imported cars. Toni takes a pause. His stare is intense. It's hard for you to bear it. But also two friends. Or a pair of foes. Each of us carries more than one cross. The keys know which one to flaunt to others. Silence gets heavy. You don't dare to break it. Shall we go back, Boulder? You nod. And Toni's words rattle in your head. Well, we still don't know much about Toni. This story... So he's raging. Like, he has aggression issues, which, well, for a cult leader, that's not a surprise. But we don't know much about him. You feel the heat under the weight of your body. And it brings to mind those cats lounging on parked car hoods. You used to think they did it to ward off the chill. But Cooper had told you that the real reason was different. Cats perch on car hoods to protect themselves from stray dogs. What are you thinking about? About what we're doing here. What's the plan? Vincent eyes you like you're some kind of puzzle. Sometimes I'm scratching my head wondering if you're just a bit slow. Or if you're trying to bait me into something that'll screw me over. You look onto his stare, like they taught you at the agency. 1, 2, 3. Oh, what will we do? But smiling feels like... It depends on the smile, right? Because So here's my thinking. I have to explain this. So typically I would say smile. Because in my head canon, you know... As an undercover agent, I'm really good. I'm very charismatic. But Boulder is not. That's the issue. So I, as a charismatic undercover agent, I would smile, which would be like a very salesman smile, you know, where it's very non-committal. It's like, yeah, well, you'll never find out smile, you know. You'll never find out if I will screw you over or not until it's too late. And then that kind of smile, because for these kind of types, you know, at the Bahnsen Knights, I think that would be perfect reaction. However, look at Boulder's smile. He's like the worst actor. He's barely holding it together, and he's not good enough to do this. So for him, I would say don't smile, please, because you're probably messing it up. You keep quiet. And you're starting to wonder if it was the right move. Oh, come on. Vincent appears suspicious, and he walks in your direction with a determined stride. Are you bugged, you son of a bitch? You try to explain to him that you're not wearing a wire, but it's too late. Oh my god! Vincent pulls out a knife and you try to stop him. You struggle for a few seconds, and you end up with a knife in your sternum. You collapse by the Sierra, coughing blood onto the asphalt. A truck approaches in the distance, and Vincent drags your body to the center of the road. Retry. Man, I just don't trust Boulder. He's just... A broad grin spreads across your face. You want to frisk me, Vinny? That's it, isn't it? Vincent lets out a laugh. Improvise, Boulder. Planning is for nerds. You hear how he clears his throat. and spits on the asphalt. Ew, that's disgusting. Did you know that saliva can stimulate soft tissue repair? Yes, it can. That's why dogs lick their wounds, because it helps them. But also saliva, you don't get it wrong. Saliva can also, like if you put certain, cat saliva is super toxic. What did my oh my god, the vet. What did the vet tell me back in the days? The only one worse is human. It's like, and that's for bites, you know. I think it's different. Like if you're licking your wounds as a dog, it heals up, and even cats, you know, also. But if it's biting, if it gets, I think, then it can actually fester and do something bad. Okay, and then it can accelerate healing. Vincent looks at his arm for a few seconds. It's the little I remember from school. I dropped out of 15. Is it another tail? I locked myself in my room and cut myself near my elbow. Then I'd spit on the wound and stare at it for hours. I showed my brother what I was doing once, and the prick told our stepfather. I can still feel the pounding I took. The things he hurled at me. Years later, I tracked him down and took a butcher knife to him. As he bled out on the floor, I started spitting. I spit, 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 and spit. My spit was all over the place. That's a little bit goofy, isn't it? Except for the hole I put in that piece of shit. Boulder! Cross the truck's path and make it stop. I'll handle the rest. You rush to the door and fire up the engine. Cross the truck's path and make it stop? So that was the plan? You slam down on the gas pedal, trying not to get left behind. Hey! Ooh. You look to the side, and you spot Vincent clutching something in his right hand. Ooh, you have a bad feeling about this. Yeah, man, as soon as a shotgun is involved, look at him, he's so cool. He is so fucking cool. He's a bad person, but he's so fucking cool. Come on. Why are villains always so cool? That's the worst thing about media, right? Because in real life, they're not. I mean, look at them, you know, in the news. It's just, they're pathetic. They're kind of cringy. They're awkward. They're horrible. And still they yield so much power, you know. And their fans are they're even worse. Like, people think they are cool, but just always dorks, you know, really weird dorks. And not the lovable dorks. And in media, they're always cool. And I think that's why villains in real life, they don't know that they're dorks and that they're awkward and cringy. They think they're like a James Bond villain, you know. The truck driver seems to suspect something, and he's driving at full speed. It's going to be hard for you to overtake him and cross your car in front of him to force him to stop. Especially given the oncoming traffic. Oh yeah, oh shit. No! Okay. Hit the gas. Oh, hit the brakes. Oh shit. It's too much at once. I was also looking at the camera, I don't know why. You are engulfed by flames. You die instantly upon impact. And the fire burns brightly. Okay, I have to get accustomed again to this. Say, playstyle. Continue with the plan. You look to the side. And you spot Vincent clutching something. Yeah. Did I have that choice before, or is it just after the death? Nope, still left. No! Yeah. Oh. Oh no, hit the gas. Still left. Hit the gas. Whoa, you get in front of the truck and slam on the brakes. I think the first time around I was so busy reading out loud what was happening that I couldn't, you know, properly work it out. That's cool gameplay. And I love that this is kind of a continuation of the gameplay from the other chapter where it was more like the tornado thingy. The truck brakes too. We have to do it because we're undercover, so we have to get into the crime. Hopefully he doesn't get killed. You owe the agency a lot. Road rage, hijack a truck. Without that transfer, you'd never have crossed paths with Eva. What agency? Oh, from the truck? What? Oh, still where we unload, huh? and Olivia wouldn't exist. When you were transferred, the agency had taken care of everything. They'd hired a truck to move you across the country. Your father had passed away not long before, and you'd made the decision to sell the house. Nearly everything there had belonged to him. Don't worry, it won't be long now. Boxes and boxes from a past that would never return. Cooper had been there, and he had helped you unload them. You know what? I'm not worried about you talking. Oh, shit. The trucker scans left and right. Oh, because you'll be zipping through a straw for at least a year. Oh, he's not killing him. Alright. Cooper used to say that silence is more important than words. That the person who listens is more significant than the one who talks. It can be, not a power move. I don't want to go into, like, I don't want to be like a salesperson on LinkedIn, you know, it's just like where every interaction is some form, you know, you have to learn some trick to get ahead, you know, where even making connections and relationships is all about business and what you can gain from it. But I used to be incredibly bad at small talk, and that was mainly that I didn't understand what it was about. And small talk is actually, it is an amazing tool. It is, and as a tool I mean in a nice sense, you know, because it helps you read the room. Because you talk about the weather and you can get a little glimpse of how is the person feeling today. Are they more, you know, one syllable? Are they really talking a lot? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they tense? Are they funny or not? And then once you've done that, small talk helps you to ask questions and just be interested in people. And what I found is once you do that and you get people talking and listen, it's almost always super interesting. It's very seldom that someone is really boring me to death. It happens, but it's very seldom. I think most of the time people have amazing stories to tell, and then it's really interesting. So it's like this thing, just like what I said, when you smile and you fake being happy, but your body's like, oh, she's smiling, so let's just get some endorphins out there, or some serotonin. I don't know what happens when you smile. And the same happens when you know, fake. And it's not faking, but if you appear that you're interested in someone, you know, at some point you will actually get interested in them because you find out more about them. Because I think, yeah, a lot of people think someone's boring because they don't know too much about them. So everyone's interesting in a way. Nearly everyone. Not everyone, but most are. Okay. So yeah, the silence and listening is such an important part to a relationship, because otherwise you will never get to know the person, you know. And the words mean nothing without someone to hear them. Yeah, as well. Jesus multiplied the loaves. And turned water into wine. Water into wine. Can you imagine? Why settle for wine? That's watery. There's laughter and some applause. Oh, that's such a bad joke. Toni! I'm disappointed. I promised you a better miracle, didn't I? And I multiplied very good wines. But I'm no Jesus, no. I hold those who stand by me in high regard. Toni motions for you to step onto the stage. Ooh. Boulder was one of the folks who helped me to get the wine for today. You look around. Where's Vincent? Come here, Boulder. And hand out the bottles to the crowd. Look at them. Man, they look like a horrible bunch. He's like, he will hurt himself or someone else or everyone this night around. This bottle will be smashed to the ground at some point. The atmosphere is booming. And you smile, thinking of Eva. Eva had said you didn't go out together enough. So she'd arranged a wine tasting at a new restaurant nearby. The idea didn't exactly tickle your fancy, but Olivia would be staying over at Eva's mom's, and you could drink as much wine as you wanted. Although that night had started with a lot of nonsense. Noses nestled in broad glasses, swirling motions to scrutinize the liquid's body, and elaborate descriptions for simple concepts like red or robust. The mess at the end had not been much different than tonight with the Bahnsen Knights. Listen up. This won't be the only miracle today. I will not scream as much as he does because my throat is still a little bit sore. As you probably can hear, right? You catch some of Toni's talk. You're tired of his stories. If thumbing a ride symbolizes a modern-day Lazarus from the Bible, you'd rather be back home. Who embodies Jesus in this scenario? Hugging Eva, playing with Olivia. The car or its driver? What the fuck is Toni blabbering about? It was the poor bastard the Falcon twins are holding on stage. Look at them! Holy fucking shit! Damn! Okay, they are ripped. The man can barely stand. Could the twins have done that to him? The Falcon twins, an odd pair of Bahnsen Knights. Two bodybuilders who lost everything to the tornadoes. And for whom Toni set up a gym in one of the barns. Toni glances to the side. And gestures towards the siblings. Allow me to introduce you to someone. Could this be a modern-day Lazarus? Or will they kill him on stage and then see if he gets up? It starts as a murmur. Lazarus. More people join in. Lazarus! And it ends with a roar. Lazarus! Again, my voice. Toni walks up to the man, and even though he lowers his voice, you can still hear it from where you're standing. Man, stuffed nose, you know, it's the worst. It is actually, I'd rather have a sore throat than a stuffed nose. It just sucks ass, man. Okay, sorry, I don't want to bang on about it. That's the problem with writers, Lou. Oh, is he the character from the other two games? We had a writer character there. Lou? Who's Lou? They just don't listen to people. You really think there's nothing to tell here, you son of a bitch. Lou chuckles, the laughter fading into a dry cough. You step over to Lou and offer your shoulder for him to lean on. What are you doing, Boulder? You raise your eyebrows and Toni appears to hesitate for a moment. But eventually he nods. Monique, I need everything ready for tomorrow's Stations of the Cross. Vincent? Take Lou to the barn. With a glance in your direction, Vincent looks surprised and starts to complain. Right now. You manage to get Lou into the back seat. It would have been easier with Vincent's help, but when you asked him, he just bared his teeth at you and sat behind the wheel of his Sierra. Lou seemed to have fallen asleep. Could this guy be the key to finally putting an end to it all? You feel the car slowing down, and you instinctively clench your fist. Don't get your hopes up, Boulder. Neither one of you is important enough to be executed in the middle of nowhere. It's the wine. I can't take it anymore. I was like, man, is it because he's a vampire and he wants blood instead? But this is hilarious. Look at this little animation. You don't have much time. You shake Lou until he wakes up. What do we want to know? Ask why they've got him trapped. Yeah? Lou coughs before answering. Toni wants me to. He's having a hard time concentrating, and you squeeze his shoulder. He wants me to write his gospel. Tell Lou who you are. You start talking, and Vincent gets in the car. Shit! What are you doing, you motherfucker? Before you open your mouth, Vincent turns around and points the shotgun at you. Shit! We did it again. Gonna get. The shot goes through your abdomen, shattering the backseat of the Sierra. Backseat action. Die in the back of a car. I died in a lot of ways in this game. Although mostly getting stabbed and shot. Luke covers his face and starts crying, covered in blood that doesn't belong to him. Okay, we try. So ask who he is. You start talking and Vincent gets in the car. What are you doing, you motherfucker? Oh man, I saw no questioning. Okay. There you go. You fall silent and hear Vincent's footsteps outside the car. Did you miss me? Hey! Wipe that expression off your face, Boulder. We leave Lou in the barn and meet the others at Danny's. You smirk. But deep down you know time is running out. What's kind of mean, I think those bars are like the suspicion bars, but you had 2 with Vincent, you know, and then suddenly there was like 16 bars more just for this one action. And that's a little bit of an unfair system, because it should be possible as the player to gauge how much risk you will take by always having like 2 bars, or behind the answers having like specific sets, you know. And I would probably go with always the same amount of suspicion that gets raised, so you as the player have it easier to gauge, okay, will I risk this or not? You know, is this important enough that I need to risk it, or will I wait for another opportunity where I might need it? Okay, but deep down you know time is running out. In one way or another, all of this has come to an end. Next chapter, right? Yeah. So I will end this episode here. I know it's not yet 45 minutes as the others, but my throat really is, I need to get better, because it sucks. Anyways, it's not that bad. Don't feel bad for me. It's very, I'm a whiny ill baby, you know. That's just me. I'm really, self-pity is a big thing for me when I'm ill. Anyways, so interested in also, here's the thing, so far there's no horror there. It's pretty much undercover thriller, which I've seen quite weirdly. I don't like this genre, but for some weird reason I saw quite a few of them. But yeah, so I watched a lot of movies because Michael Madsen was in them, of these kind of, and it feels very much the same. What I really like though is that the main protagonist, because in a lot of these movies the main protagonist is usually like someone sexy, you know, someone we're really rooting for because they're young and attractive and, you know, conflicted. And I think Boulder is a very good character because he's kind of an unusual character also, because he very much has a family. He's very much a family man, you know. That's also because very often you have characters that kind of enjoy being undercover more than being with a family, which is then like a point of conflict within the movie. And here it's actually the opposite. Boulder hates everything. He hates every single second of this undercover job. Like, he does not want to do it, but he feels like he has to do it for his friend and because it's just his job. So I like that, because it's very seldom that you have this kind of dynamic of someone who's undercover but he really doesn't want to, and also does not really get drawn into it as much. He doesn't enjoy this at all. So that is a very cool premise, but I really hope we're getting some horror, because I'm a horror fan, you know. So I still would be very happy with the story if it doesn't have any horror elements, because I think it's very well told. But yeah, it would be nice to have confirmation that it's all about vampires or whatnot, you know, or that the tornadoes are actually like something godly or otherworldly. It would be cool. But yeah, what do you think? Would you be happy without horror aspects, or do you also kind of hope? And if so, do you think, I mean, I dropped it because of previous games by Paul Pixels I played where I feel like maybe vampires, but maybe it's something completely different. So if you don't think it's vampires, what do you think it is? If it is something supernatural. But yeah, even if it's not, then tell me, you know, do you think it's really just a cult without the supernatural aspect? I would be really interested in your opinion of this. Other than that, I hope you had a good time, and I can't wait for the next episode. So see you then. Bye bye. This is myself recorded out for song, so I don't get hit with copyright claims. If you subscribe to a lot of fun tutorials, reviews, and let's plays.